Hi, I'm Michael Newrock, and I just want to go over a trend trade buy aggressive trade example. Uh, I'm on the 1 hour time frame, and I'll just place my markers down. Of course, we put the vertical and horizontal line based on the bar prior to the arrow forming, as the arrow is only displayed on the close of the previous bar. So that's where Trend Profiteer picked up this trend trade, and let's just go over the rules real quick. First of all, it's an aggressive trend trade. There's no more than 3 candles pointing up. Trend follower has just changed from red to green. Yellow moving average has crossed gray moving average. The price is equal to or above the fast moving average, which it is in this case. The RSI is 50 or above. It's just sitting on 50 here, just a 0.2 above 50. The MACD must be above the 0 line, doesn't need to be green or above the signal line. It is in this case, but as long as it's above the 0 line, that's all that matters. And the white stochastic is above the blue stochastic. So that fulfills all of the rules of a aggressive trend trade buy. And this is on the 1 hour time frame. So placing our stops, we need to place it just below the slow moving average. So that'll be around 10 pips. But if you give it a little bit more room, say 15 pips, that'd be the way to go. So 15 pips in profit would take us here. 30 pips would take us here. So that's 2 times the stop. 45 pips here would give us a 3-to-1 reward to loss ratio. And 60 pips would be here. That gives us a 4-to-1 ratio, reward to risk, and just missing out just by fraction on a 5-to-1 reward to risk ratio. So there you have it. Trend trade buy and aggressive trade on the 1 hour time frame. Till next time, good trading, live well, and I'll see you soon. Hi, I'm Michael Newrock, and this is a trend trade sell aggressive trade type on the 1 hour time frame. You can see this trend trade here went against it. It may have survived, may not have. It's only about just under 20 pips, but this is the one that I want to use as the example. So first of all, it's a bidirectional market. The overall trend direction is displaying a blue bidirectional arrow. No more than 3 arrows are pointing down. And of course, we're looking for a sell. So we need to have at least 3 arrows. So I'll just place the marker here of where the trade occurred or the signal occurred right here. Of course, the arrows displayed the candle after the close of the signal bar. So bidirectional market is in place. Trend follower has changed from green to red. Fast moving average is below the slow moving average, or the yellow moving average is below the slow or the gray moving average. Price is equal to or below the fast moving average. The RSI is 50 or below. It's just below 50. That's this center line here. The MACD histogram must be below the 0 line. Doesn't need to be below the signal line. It is in this case, but as long as it's below. And the white stochastic must be below the blue stochastic. So as far as placement of stops, you would place it just above the slow moving average. It's only about 7-8 pips there. So I would tend to, it's on a 1 hour time frame, place it on at least say 15 pips, a little bit above. But say if we went to 20 pips, just give it a bit more room to move. It didn't need it in this case, but 20 pips is not a lot to risk. So target one to reach a 1-to-1 reward to risk ratio would be here, 20 pips. 40 pips would be here. It's 2-to-1 reward to risk ratio. 60 pips would be hit here. 80 pips would be right about here. That's a 4-to-1 reward to risk ratio, and 100 pips here, 5-to-1 reward to risk ratio. This trade continued to go a little bit longer to about 112 pips thereabouts. There were a couple of corrections in place. You could have been then able to pick up swings along the trade, but of course this is a trend trade example. But that's the beauty. You're able to catch trades both in the trends and the swings. So that concludes this example of a trend trade sell as an aggressive trade type on the 1 hour time frame. Until next time, good trading, live well, and I'll see you soon. Hi, I'm Michael Newrock, and this is a swing within a trend aggressive trade example on the 1 hour time frame. So we're looking at these swings here. Of course, we had a couple previous to that, but these in particular give you a bit of an example on the swing trade. We'll just place the markers just prior to the arrow being displayed because it's based on the previous bar closed. So let's go over the rules. First of all, bidirectional market is in place. It's an aggressive trade by the fact that there's no more than 3 arrows pointing up. In this case, we are looking for 3 arrows because we're looking at a buy. The trend follower is green. The fast moving average or the yellow moving average is above the slow moving average. The price closed equal to or above the yellow moving average. RSI is 50 or above. In this case, it's above. And with the MACD, we've got 2 consecutive red histogram bars followed by a green histogram bar above the 0 line. Doesn't need to be above the signal line, just as long as it is above the 0 line. And that fulfills the criteria that we look for a swing within a trend on an aggressive trade. The stop will place just under the slow moving average, so it's around 17 pips to the slow moving average. Let's say we made it 25 pips just to give it a bit more room, although in this case it didn't look like it needed nearly that. But 25 pips would take us here for our reward to risk ratio to be 1-to-1. 50 pips would be here. That gives us a 2-to-1 reward to risk ratio. 75 pips here for a 3-to-1 reward to risk ratio, and 100 pips here on the reward to risk ratio. This trade actually eventually did go even higher, up about 100 and just over 150 pips, where the stop loss was only 25 pips, which gives us a 6-to-1 reward to risk ratio. So swing trades are great. They're great to get in, to add to positions, or to take a position after a trend is corrected, or where you've just missed out on the trend trade altogether. They work on all time frames, and feel free to upload any examples that you want me to have a look at. And of course, please participate in the 24-hour chat room and the weekly webinars, because practice makes perfect. So till next time, good trading, live well, and I'll see you soon. Hi, I'm Michael Newrock, and this is a swing within a trend sell example as an aggressive trade type on the 1 hour time frame. The overall trend direction is displaying a blue bidirectional arrow. No more than 3 arrows are pointing down. This is the example we're looking at. The previous swing the position went against it, or price went against the position to start off with, and then made some profit. If you had locked in profits at that stage, you would have been okay and avoided the argy-bargy. But this one, a move has been set up as a swing trade. The trend has already occurred, but if we were looking at a swing, getting in on the market on the swing trade, we would be looking here, and that's the close of the candle prior to the arrow being displayed. Of course, Trend Profiteer alerts you to all of these signals, but here's the example just so you can see for yourself. And of course, the more you practice, the better you'll be as a profiteer trader. So blue bidirectional arrow is being displayed. It makes it a bidirectional market, which allows aggressive trade types. The trend follower is red. The yellow moving average is below the gray moving average. Price is equal to or below the yellow moving average. RSI is 50 or below. It's below 50 in this case. And with the MACD, we've had two green histogram bars below the zero line, followed by the red histogram bar that gave us the swing signal. And that's all we need to look at for the criteria for these rules. It doesn't need to be below the signal line, just as long as it's below the zero line. So let's have a look. Whoops, just come back here, bring the crosshairs up. If we had placed the stop, well, normally just above the slow moving average, I like to give it a bit more room. It wouldn't have been needed in this case, but sometimes it does. So say 20 pips for your stop, and right here we would have hit a 1-to-1 reward to risk ratio at 20 pips. 40 pips hit here. 60 pips giving us a 3-to-1 reward to risk ratio hit here. 80 pips hit back here, and all the way down to just over 100 pips, giving us a 5-to-1 reward to risk ratio. So for the 20 pips we risked, we were able to generate 100 pips, so just over 100 pips, giving us a 5-to-1 reward to risk ratio. And that concludes this example for a swing sell trade as an aggressive trade setup on the 1 hour time frame. Till next time, good trading, live well, and I'll see you soon.